Mike Johnson has now unveiled a stopgap bill that funds the government at its current levels through November 21st and boosts security funding for public officials, which I believe puts the funding to like right before Thanksgiving break, which seems like a terrible time to have something divisive like another funding bill, but this is how the government functions, I guess. And so for right now, there's a September 30th deadline. And so now we get to do the thing we always do, which is the back and forth over what the Democrats going to ask for, and then also which Republicans are like saying, hey, maybe I won't vote for it, and then they all end up voting for it, okay? I've had that football pulled out from in front of me so many times, I'm not kicking at this point. But here right now is what's in this new bill from Mike Johnson. So there's an additional $58 million for security for public officials. That's $30 million for the executive branch, $28 million for the Supreme Court, $30 million for members of Congress, which it does seem a little bit strange that the amount of aid that's going to the 535 strong body is the same as the one going towards the 9. That seems a little bit odd, particularly when there's been no threats against them, but whatever. And so basically local police that need to do protection can draw the money out of it. And I'm glad that the funds are being set up ahead of time, because generally when cops are need to bill things from the Trump administration, they never get paid back. So at least now they'll get their money. There's also a funding fix for the District of Columbia. It had been left with a shortfall of $1 billion previously, so I guess that's good. And the Democrats, as we talked about on yesterday's show, they want to roll back some of what was in the big bill that was passed earlier this year by the Republicans, including bringing back the nearly $1 trillion in Medicaid funding, stopping the tax breaks for millionaires and billionaires. And of course, Mike Johnson is not interested in that. He was sent to DC by the donors to accomplish those goals, and dag nabbit, he's going to accomplish those goals. But he did say this: in exchange for their vote to fund the government, some Democrats said they wanted Republicans to repeal our very popular and very effective reforms to the Medicaid program. Zero chance that we will do that. Well, the only thing that's truly zero chance is the chance that those were popular among the population, because Mike Johnson knows that they were not. That's why they're worried about the midterms. That's why they're gerrymandering across the country. But what? Okay, I guess I'll show you the polls that demonstrate about it. Do you want to see Congress increase spending on Medicaid, decrease spending, or keep it about the same? I'll give decrease a little and decrease a lot. Among the population at large, that is at 17%. And I'm gonna argue that cutting about $900 billion is a lot, which means fewer than 10% of the population agrees with Mike Johnson. That is not actually popular. It's not even popular among Republicans. Only 33% of Republicans want to cut Medicaid funding. So he knows he's viciously lying to you, and he knows that there's going to be a political price to pay for it. And in fact, the ironic thing here is that if he were to give in the demands of the Democrats, they probably wouldn't suffer so much in the midterms, but they care so much more about giving the donors what they want than actually maintaining their majority in the House of Representatives come 2026. Now, as I said, there are always some who imply they're not going to pass these bills. Marjorie Greene is one. She said it would be disloyalty to Trump to extend funding levels first approved under former President Biden, although Trump is right now telling them to do this. So it's so weird that Marjorie Greene cloaks everything she does in her superior level of loyalty to Trump, even when she's directly disagreeing with Donald Trump. But it's not just her. Thomas Massie, Victoria Spartz, Warren Davidson are others who, for a variety of reasons, are saying they shouldn't do it this way. I'll believe it when I see it, and I don't believe I'll see it. But Sharon, what do you make of all this?
It's just like it was once a hit primetime show. It's jumped the shark. The narratives it's crazy. The characters are it's not believable. You can't, escape reality and get into the show anymore. It needs to be canceled. This is the same script, different year. I don't know. It's just stupid. And by the way, if it shuts down, does that mean for that period they can't steal from us? I'm confused. Do they still get to steal? And who has access to the money when it shuts down?
Yeah, look, as we've always said in these fights, and I'll end on this, there's utter chaos when the government shuts down. But I would say there would be a little bit less chaos now, because if like ongoing government services are shut down, I want everyone to bear in mind there are fewer of those than there were last year. There's fewer departments. The national parks already aren't open most of the time. There's less funding going to all this stuff. So it would be slightly less chaotic than normal.